What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 19 of the Ohio Sports Radio Show. Jared and Ian back again. We got Zach with us, and we got our newest writer, Seth Everhart. Seth, welcome to the team officially. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you guys?
Doing well. Zach, how are you? Good to have you back, buddy.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. Ian, you doing all right?
Living the dream, brother.
Great. Awesome. Ready to talk some Ohio sports with you guys. Now, we had last weekend off, so we're back this week, 2 weeks of stuff to catch up on, so we're ready to talk sports with you guys. Let's get into it without further ado. For those of you who don't watch the show, we normally start with our best and worst of this past weekend. Ian, what was your best and worst of this past weekend, sir?
My best this week, my Blue Devils, even though they lost Saturday against Louisville, last Wednesday they go into Chapel Hill, take down the hated North Carolina Tar Heels. Big win for them, shorthanded, playing with five guys most of the way. Hopefully it translates to another victory in a few weeks when we host them at Cameron Indoor. My worst of the week, today the news coming out of Cleveland, the Browns and Travis Benjamin are very far apart in contract negotiations, and Benjamin is set to hit the free agent market in the next few weeks when the new calendar begins for the NFL season.
I'm sure you guys will be able to re-sign him, and also with the Duke game, it was a great game. I actually fell asleep with 7 minutes to go, so I'm a huge college basketball fan, as you know, and fell asleep with 7 minutes to go. Hate myself for that, but it was a good game. Seth, what was your best and worst of this past weekend, sir?
Okay, we're going to go back up to Cleveland with the best of the week. The rumors of Brock Osweiler maybe joining the Browns if they go for him, and then that's also kind of the worst thing of the week for me because it'll probably just bring our hopes down by the end of next week because the Browns won't be able to sign him.
Yeah, that's an interesting story which we will get to. Zach, what is your best and worst of the past weekend, sir?
My best of the week is that baseball is back. Feels like it's been an eternity since we watched the Royals win the World Series. I'm ecstatic for the upcoming season. My worst of the week goes along with that. The Reds are going to be terrible. Their odds are 300 to 1 to win the World Series. It's not going to be fun to watch, but it's going to be fun to watch the guys grow at least.
I agree. We've been pushing for a rebuild for a while on this show, and we're finally getting it. So sit back and watch them suck for a little bit. But what else can you do? Speaking of the Reds, Zach, let's talk a little Reds baseball. Some big story broke last night. The Reds were involved in they had a 3-team trade for Jay Bruce on the table between the Reds, Angels, and Blue Jays. It fell through because the player that was going to be coming to the Reds failed a physical. They have not released that player's name yet, but speculation was I do believe it was a pitcher, correct, Ian?
That's correct.
Okay, so, Jay Bruce looks like he's on the way out. Now, if you watch the show, you know that we have pushed for a rebuild for a while. Obviously, Votto is not going anywhere. He made that clear today. Jay Bruce was one that we were hoping would move. We also mentioned Brandon Phillips, where he's staying. So it looks like Jay Bruce may be on the way out. Hopefully, the Reds can get a deal to go through. Ian, what are your thoughts on this, man?
They keep talking about this rebuild and getting behind it and everything and full on and trading away some of the main attractions from the last few years. Bruce is set to make $12 million this year. I think he's set to make $13 million next year, the last year of his contract. He does have a $1 million buyout clause at the end of the year where the Reds could pay $1 million and say goodbye to him. I know they don't want to leave empty-handed from the party, so that's why they're trying to move him. Lance McAllister made a good point today on 700. He talked about, the trade deadline's not today, it's not tomorrow. Maybe the Reds try and wait this out, let him see if he can get on some type of hot streak early in the season and see if his value goes up. I know Jeff Passan from Yahoo Sports tweeted out today that the return on Bruce wasn't that great with the prospect they were going after. So it might be a little reverse psychology because it might get a lot more teams interested in the trade talks with the Reds for Bruce. So we've got to wait it out and see what they plan on doing.
All right, Seth. What about you, man? You have any thoughts on this?
Not a whole lot, other than I'd like to see Bruce go. I think he's been a little bit overpaid the past couple of years for his output, but we got to get a decent player for him. I'd like to get someone maybe a little bit better than a prospect, but I'll take anything at this point.
Yeah, pretty much the Reds they're in all-out rebuild mode, man. I mean, when you're trading, the thing with Jay Bruce, like we've said in the past, he's a great player. He just never lived up to that superstar expectation that Reds fans had for him. When Bruce came up, we expected him to be a Mike Trout, Bryce Harper type player, and he just isn't. He's an all-star, but he's not that superstar, you know. Zach, do you have any opinions on this, man?
Sure. Right now, Jay Bruce isn't worth anything. He's not worth a washing machine, in my opinion. He batted 199 in the second half last year, just terrible. 242 on base percentage, I believe, is what it was. It's just nothing. There's no reason to trade him right now. You're not going to get anything for him. Might get a career AAA player. Right now, they should just wait, hope he gets hot. Usually he gets hot around May, so hopefully he does, and they can try to trade him then, maybe get a little bit better return. The only thing about it is they are paying him $12.5 million this year. That may be a big factor in this.
Yeah. Now, we do have a question from Ricky Barker. He wants to know if we think the Reds should continue to shop Bruce, like you mentioned, Ian, like Lance McAllister mentioned on 700 WLW. Should the Reds continue to shop Bruce or wait till the deadline? He said the return didn't seem like it was that we were going to get last night didn't seem like it was a good trade for the Reds. I mean, Ian, you already said your opinion. Seth, what do you think about that? You think the Reds should wait to the deadline and hope he gets on a little roll, or should they continue to shop him?
I think you continue to shop him. You know, even if you get a prospect now, that's more time for him to develop in the minor leagues or actually in the Reds system right now. So I think you continue to shop him, not wait to the deadline. If you do have to wait to the deadline, it could be a good option as well. So either way, I'm indifferent.
Yeah, Zach?
I don't believe you trade him right now. Like I said, he's just not worth what he could be later. It's a little bit of a gamble to wait till the deadline. You don't know how he's going to be hitting. For all we know, he's batting 123 at the break, and you're not going to get anything for him anyways. But I think it's a gamble worth taking. He's going to have a hot month here at the beginning of the season. He always does. Try to move him then. Maybe it's not the deadline, but
yeah, I was going to say the same thing. He always gets off to a hot start. Bruce always does. Another risk you end up if you wait till the deadline or closer to and see if you can get on a hot streak. He could get injured. You never know. It could hamper that, and yeah, exactly. So it could hamper that. It could hamper a trade. If the Reds are going to rebuild, like we've said many times on the show, if the Reds are going to rebuild, they got to go all in on it, man. I know it's kind of hard to rebuild when your first baseman's making $20 million a year, but Votto's not going anywhere. Hopefully they can move Brandon Phillips, and we do have a question about that as well. What do you think it will take for the Reds? It's Ricky Barker again. He wants to know, what do you guys think it will take for the Reds to trade Brandon Phillips? Do you think benching him for younger talent, or do you think that would change his mind? What do you think, E?
I don't know that you can actually bench Brandon Phillips unless he's going through a cold spell at the plate. His defense is too valuable out there to be benching someone like him. Yeah, you know, with the full-on rebuild, you're going to look to move guys not named Joey Votto who have big contracts. And, you know, Phillips is aging. He's heading into the twilight of his career. You know, he still had a productive year last year, and he can hit anywhere in that lineup. You know, with the way this team looks, they're not gonna have a very good season. The only thing that I think would change Phillips' mind, because he's got that 10-5 no trade clause, he has to accept the deal. I think the only thing that would change his mind is if they package some type of deal together for him to go at the deadline to a team that's contending, and he buys into it. But as of right now, I mean, I don't think it's a viable option to bench him for younger talent. The likely replacement for him would be Peraza. Peraza isn't up to snuff yet with Major League pitching to hit well enough against Major League pitching. He's going to be one of those future guys that that we depend on in the future. So right now, we just got to ride it out with Brandon Phillips until he agrees to a deal.
Seth, what do you think, man?
I can see why the Reds want to move him, but at the same time, I'd love to see BP stay. I think, like Ian said, he's still got a little bit time left. He's been productive. You can't really bench him because he's too good in the field. Maybe you send Bruce to get a developmental infielder. The original rumors that we were sending him for a pitcher, but, we already got, over 10 pitchers in the first couple of trades they did in this offseason. So, maybe we go for an infielder this time with Bruce.
Yeah, that is a good point. Zach, I mean, do you have an opinion on this, man?
I think as long as Brandon Phillips is producing, he's earned the right to be the everyday second baseman. I don't think Peraza's up for a full major league season, anyways. He's gonna get plenty of playing time, and Phillips is gonna get plenty of rest this year. He's getting older, but the only thing that might make him leave Cincinnati is going to be losing. The way to losing might weigh on him enough throughout the beginning of the season to say, hey, I want to see if I can win before my career's over. But he doesn't have many years left, so
he's blocked trades from Cincinnati before. That's the thing. I'm pretty sure he's content here. He likes Cincinnati. You see him out in the city. Whenever you see him out, he's an awesome guy. So I think he loves the city here. He loves being a Red, even though he's not been on many winning teams with the Reds. So I don't really think it's losing for him. I do think eventually in your career, it's like, man, I would like to get one championship before I hang him up. So maybe you could see him there. I think the thing with BP is he's going to be a good clubhouse leader for those young guys. We got a lot of. If you are in rebuild mode, that's one thing you do need. You need clubhouse guys. Votto doesn't seem like he's a real vocal clubhouse guy. I would think BP is more of a chill guy personally that players can get to know. I don't know, man. I love BP. It's kind of hard as Cincinnati fans, as Ohio sports fans. I mean, our teams aren't that great, so when we do find a player that we love, you kind of cling to him, and you don't want your team to get rid of him, even though it may be the best thing for him. I personally, I agree with Seth. I hope the Reds can hold on to BP for as long as possible, and if they do have to trade him or if he does want to move, hopefully they can get something that will benefit the team in return. But thank you, Ricky. Appreciate the questions. We have another Reds question as well. Jake Parrish wants to know, how far of a leash would you give Billy Hamilton if he struggles through spring training and early months of the season? Billy's coming off shoulder surgery. Ian, what's your opinion on this, man?
It's a real crapshoot right now because, we know the story with Billy. It's the same narrative his whole career so far in the majors. Not that great of a hitter. Yeah, when he gets on base, he has the ability to change games with his speed. But, right now, especially if you factor in the possibility of Bruce being traded, if you keep Hamilton on a short leash, you look at the rest of the Reds' 40-man roster, guys that can play the outfield. You got Adam Duvall and Scott Schebler, who will probably platoon and left to start the season. You got Jake Cave, who they got in a Rule 5 draft from the Yankees, who would probably end up playing right field if Bruce ever gets dealt. And then you got guys like Juan Duran, who's serving a suspension for PEDs. You got Phil Irvin, who's never seen AAA yet. You got the golden boy, Jesse Winker, who they don't want to rush to the majors. And you got a guy like Yorman Rodriguez, who's been a journeyman, spent, I think, 6 or 7 years in the minors, and Kyle Waldrop. So, I mean, there's not a lot of options to put somebody out there in center field, if you keep Hamilton's leash there.
Billy's that kind of player that, man, if he can get on, that's the thing. That's what we keep saying about Billy. We've said it for so long. If he can get on, man, he's going to guaranteed steal in second. Like I said, I mentioned this during a while ago. I think it was last baseball season. I was hoping the Reds would make a move for Ichiro. I know he's late in his career, but if Ichiro could have came in and at least taught Billy to be a base hitter, that's all they need. That's a win for the Reds if they could bring a veteran player like Ichiro in, maybe pay him a little too much than what he's worth, and if he can teach Billy to just be a base hitter and get on base, increase his on base percentage. I mean, my gosh, man, the kid is such a weapon. If you know for a fact he's taking second and you got a runner in scoring position anytime he's on, I mean, such a weapon. But I don't know personally, Jake, about the leash with Billy. If he's showing any kind of tightness or anything, I wouldn't play him. I wouldn't risk him because if the Reds want to trade him or obviously he seems like a future piece moving forward, you don't want to risk it. Seth, do you have an opinion on this?
I'd like to see the Reds play a little bit more small ball at the plate, let him bunt a little bit. I think he's the type of guy. He's got the speed, obviously. I mean, like you said, anytime he's on, you're expecting him to take second. But I don't think the Reds utilize him enough in the small ball game.
I don't
do a better job of that. And like you said, bringing in Ichiro, that'd been a great mentor for him. But obviously, he's getting later in his career, and the Reds are in rebuilding mode, so that's not really an option.
Yeah, Seth, I completely agree with you on that. I've said on this show to Ian many a times as we got into this talk, I don't think anybody plays small ball enough in Major League Baseball except for the freaking Royals. And you look at him, Ned Yost will play small ball. He doesn't care. Ned Roast will get a runner in scoring position and put 2 outs on the board. He does not care. He plays percentages. I think the Reds, I think teams like that should do that more. I mean, Zach, what do you think?
Absolutely, small ball will win you baseball games. It's been used for 100 years now. It works.
Yeah.
As far as giving Billy a leash, as long as he's healthy, you give him all year long. There's really no other option at center field. Long-term options at center field. Give him the whole year as long as he's healthy, as long as he's got that shoulder problem fixed. There's no other rookies knocking on the door or anything like that right now. Definitely the small ball, big thing. He needs to bunt a lot, but like the old movie Major League, he needs to hit the ball on the ground.
Yep, absolutely. And Billy said he doesn't feel any tightness. He feels pretty good right now. So we'll see later in spring training if any aggravation or anything pops up. But staying in Cincinnati, let's talk a little Bengals. Little Bengals football. Not much going on right now. Getting ready to go into free agency next month. The season begins on March 8th. Is that correct, Ian? March 8th, Seth, Zach?
I think it's the 9th, but it may be the 8th.
Okay. Next season begins on the 9th. Bengals report came out that Sanu is 100% unlikely to re-sign with the Bengals. Looks like he's on his way out. I know they said the teams that were interested in him, the Browns were interested in him, the Giants, and a couple other teams. I hope the Bengals can re-sign him. I thought last show, episode 18, I said that I thought the Bengals would re-sign Sanu and possibly let Marvin Jones walk because he would be a little bit more expensive, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. There are a lot of free agents with the Bengals, like we've discussed in the past. Once free agency gets going, we'll have more on that, but not much going on in Bengals land. Andy Dalton found his luggage, Zach. I know you're a Bengals guy. What'd you think of that?
What, about time? Yeah. Lost it for a second. Lose your luggage for a second time. You're having a bad time. It's becoming a pattern.
You know what's so funny about that story? For those of you who don't know, on Twitter, Andy Dalton and his wife were going to Mexico or something like that. They threw his luggage into the back of his truck, and it fell out on the highway in Texas. He couldn't find it, which is so peak Andy Dalton. To come off such a great NFL season, he got injured, which sucked. To come off such a great NFL season, lose your luggage like that. I mean, he had people kind of off his back a little bit. How on earth do you lose your luggage in a pickup truck? Did he have the gate open? Was he jumping ramps? What was he doing? I mean, he had to been driving so fast slinging his tail in. What was he doing to lose that luggage? I mean, it's so peak Andy Dalton. Finally found it. And then he lost it again with the airline company that he was flying with. They lost his luggage, which is insane. But he found it. Good for him. Andy's my guy, so make fun of him a little bit, but he's my guy. Bengals fan through and through, so I'm a huge Andy Dalton fan. Anyways, on to not much with the Bengals, so we'll come back to them whenever there is some news to report. Moving up north to Cleveland, the Cleveland Browns. Seth, you're a Browns fan, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we got another Browns fan for Ian. I know he's sick of talking all Bengals football. He did grin and bear it, though. Ian, Seth, Manziel, still in the news up there. You guys cannot shake him. You guys are counting down the days, I'm sure, until you guys can release this idiot. I've said over and over, I like Manziel. He needs help. We mentioned that on the last episode. However, all of this stuff coming out with his girlfriend is absolutely absurd. There's no room for that in the NFL or any sport, so they need to look into that. Stuff needs to be done. But moving past Manziel, Seth, you mentioned it in your best and worst this past week. The possibility came out. They're mentioning it, at least. It's kind of gained some ground. Brock Osweiler is a free agent from the Denver Broncos, for those of you who don't know. Osweiler is a free agent. The Browns are reported that they are going to go all in on Osweiler, who only started 6 games last year. But, Seth, like you said earlier before the show, those were 6 good games.
Yes, they were.
Osweiler, Browns going all in. Ian, as a diehard Browns fan, what are your thoughts on the possibility of your Brownies taking Brock Osweiler or signing Brock Osweiler to a huge deal in free agency?
I like the idea of it. Like Seth alluded to with his worst of the week, I have a feeling that it probably won't happen, and we'll just be left out to dry again because we're Browns fans. 25 years old, still young. Hugh Jackson has a great track record with young quarterbacks. I like this option a lot better than drafting a quarterback. A lot of people don't give Osweiler the credit due. He kept the Broncos. He actually kept the Broncos in it and got them that 1 seed. So, I think he loses a lot of credit, with Peyton riding out into the sunset with that Super Bowl victory. But I think it would be a home run sign for the Browns if they were able to sign Osweiler. He had a good college career. He's had success in the short sample that he's played in NFL. And I think he would flourish in Cleveland. I really do, with Hugh Jackson and with the guys that Hugh Jackson's brought in.
Seth, as a Browns fan, what do you think about the possibility of Osweiler going to your Brownies in free agency?
It'd be great, even if he comes and he has to, learn a little bit from Josh McCown. He's a guy who's been in the league for however many years now. That's a great mentor for him. I think it's a great opportunity for the Browns to really advance their team, save themselves a draft pick as well. If you free up, if you pick up a quarterback now, you don't have to pick one in the draft, and maybe you can get an O lineman or a D lineman or a receiver, some other need that you had, because they got plenty of voids to fill. I tell you that.
Absolutely. Zach, we're outsiders looking in with the Browns. Usually we're talking about the Bengals. But what do you think about the possibility of Osweiler going to the Browns?
I think that would be an absolute home run for the Browns. You're taking a gamble anytime you draft a quarterback in the first round. They're unproven, but Osweiler's got at least a little bit of a resume. Showed he can play well with some good teams too. I think that'd be a home run, and then they free to draft. That opens up their whole draft.
Yeah, I agree with you, all of you guys. I'm gonna say it would be a home run. I don't think it will happen though. Like Seth said, his worst of the weekend is the thought of signing Osweiler and it not happening. I just don't think it'll happen. Osweiler leaving Denver to go to Cleveland, where Denver just won a Super Bowl and they're poised to make another run next year. I think they're 9-1 odds to win it again next year. I just don't see it happening. No way the Broncos re-sign Peyton Manning. There's 0% chance of that. He's too old. They pay him too much money next year. There's no way. Osweiler will test free agency just to get more money out of Denver. That will happen. I don't see Cleveland, unless if Hugh is a super good smoozer and he can go in there and get him, that would be a huge signing for them. I don't think it will happen, but if it did, like you guys said, it would change their draft completely. Odds are they'll take Joey Bosa with that 2 pick. Huge snag for them if they could get Joey Bosa and build on their defense, which was dominant 2 years ago, lackluster this past year. But if they could come in and get I wouldn't say seasoned quarterback, but Osweiler would be a good fit there, man. I mean, he's got some weapons there, and if they continue to build around him, build that offensive line, maybe it would want to keep Joe Thomas there. I know Joe Thomas has kind of mentioned that he doesn't know if he wants to play in Cleveland anymore, but if they could bring in a good young quarterback like that, he could, I want to block for this guy. He's a good quarterback. I want to stay here. And like I said in the past, whoever is your guy's quarterback, whether you draft one, you sign a top free agent, whoever it is, he shouldn't touch the field next year unless it's like an Osweiler player. Obviously, he's going to touch the field. But if you guys draft a quarterback, McCown's got to play next year. Let him learn. I know Mike Mayock came out and said that he is super impressed with Carson Wentz. He's compared him to Andrew Luck. His athletic ability, he said, through the roof. His arm strength's unreal. He's getting a lot of knocks for being a Division 1A player. But Carson Wentz is blowing up Pro Day the Combine, and they're loving that kid. Rumors are the Browns are very, very interested at taking him at number 2. I know it's between him and Jared Goff right now. You got one hand, you got Jared Goff, who is ready to go now. They're saying Carson Wentz may be a little bit of a project. Paxton Lynch, who we mentioned in the past, seems like he's dropping down to 3rd or 4th option. He's getting a lot of comparisons to Flacco with the huge arm. I don't know, man. What do you guys think about the possibility of Carson Wentz? Zach, bless you, by the way.
Thank you.
Ian, what do you think of the possibility of Carson Wentz?
I do not like the idea of drafting a quarterback whatsoever. I feel like that if you're in the position that the Browns are in, with needing a quarterback or needing someone for the long haul with the rebuild and everything, and going into going into a new era under Hugh Jackson, if you're going to take a quarterback, you better make sure this is the real deal. I had an argument with a buddy the other day. He said, well, Flacco played at a small school. He played at Delaware, and he's doing just fine. I bet you'd like to have Flacco. Well, Flacco started at Pittsburgh, and he was redshirted, and then Dave Wanstatt, who's an idiot, sat him his next year he benched him for Tyler Palko. So Flacco said, you know what, I'm just going to go play somewhere else. He went to Delaware. His first season there, he threw for almost 3,000 yards. The second year, he almost threw for 4,000 yards. And I think it was like 28 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. So he had a lot of success in college. Carson Wentz,
Hold on real quick. Let me stop you. Are you saying you would not take Joe Flacco? Because that's kind of what that sounded like. That's absurd. If that's
No.
Okay.
Not out of college. Not out of college.
Okay, out of college. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I would have been fine with drafting Flacco because Flacco proved himself.
Wentz, but he hadn't proved himself out of Delaware.
He had 2 good seasons at Delaware. Carson Wentz.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. What were you going to say about Carson Wentz?
Carson Wentz is dominated. He's dominated at North Dakota State. He's dominated, dude. He gets. That's the one thing. If he was playing Division I football, people would be all over this kid. But because he's in a smaller school, he is dominated. That kid's athletic ability is off the charts.
3/4 of a season, and everybody is nuts on this kid. Is he a great athlete? Yes. Is he an NFL quarterback right away? Is he somebody that can turn your franchise around? I'm not saying this kid's not going to be successful. I'm saying I don't want to find out if he's successful in Cleveland. I don't want to take a quarterback unless I know it's a home run. Yeah, he can get comparisons to Andrew Luck. If Andrew Luck was sitting there, I'd draft Andrew Luck. This guy is not Andrew Luck. He's Carson Wentz. He's had a hot year, so everybody's high on him. We've heard that for quarterbacks in the past with the Browns. It just doesn't work for us. So I say stay away from quarterbacks. Stay away from Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, if you watch us, I'm sorry. I hope you do well in the NFL, but if you come to Cleveland, you're not going to do well because we're going to rush you, and we do everything wrong with a quarterback that we draft.
Seth, what do you think about this, man? As another Browns fan.
I said it in my report on the draft. I don't want to take a quarterback number 1. I just don't think that there's a true standout, ready-to-play quarterback in this draft. I think that the issues this year in Cleveland were not so much the quarterback play. I think McCown and even Manziel did a hell of a job keeping them in games and keeping them competitive. I think if you do take a quarterback in this draft, you don't take him to the 3rd or 4th round. Get a guy who can learn from. Why is his name? McCown. Sorry. Get a guy who can learn from him for a year, maybe 2 years if you can get McCown for another, even though he'll be probably 40 years old by that point. I really don't like the idea of taking Wentz after, like Ian said, after 3/4 of a year of good play. I think you wait. You take maybe. I think this draft is full of quarterbacks who can develop into great. I think Hackenberg is a great choice down there in the 3rd round. I think Kessler out of USC is a great choice in the 2nd or 3rd round, but I don't think the Browns should take one overall.
Connor Cook's probably going to drop as well, so he may be there. I know you mentioned that before. But, Ian, let me point a little something out to you about Mr. Carson Wentz. He actually only started for 2 years at North Dakota State. He amassed over 5,000 yards passing, 45 touchdowns. I think he had something like 17 interceptions, something like that. 14 interceptions, my bad. Those are pretty good numbers in 2 years, my friend. The kid... The professionals are saying that he looks good. Maybe watch a little tape on him. I don't know. What I've seen from him, I liked him. I watched the Division I-A championship. He looked great. I mean, they run him a lot. That is one thing with him. He's very athletic. I don't know, man. Would you rather have him or Goff if you're taking a quarterback? Or okay, I'll pose this. Would you rather have Carson Wentz, Goff, Paxton Lynch, or Connor Cook?
Ugh. Out of those, I'd take Connor Cook because that
Wow.
means we're not going to take somebody with a 2 pick.
Well, Connor Cook, I would say he's probably still going to go late first round, early second. I mean, you guys may be able to get him with your second round pick, maybe, but there's other needs for the Browns right now. I mean, if you're going to take a quarterback, take him in the first round. If you're not going to take it, wait. Like Seth said, you got to wait till later in the draft, third or fourth round. I mean, that's what I would do personally.
Let me flip the script.
Okay.
Bengals are in the same position the Browns are in.
Okay.
Are you guys taking Carson Wentz at 2?
We don't have a quarterback? Who's our quarterback? Is our quarterback Johnny Manziel?
Your quarterback is a journeyman backup, like McCown.
So John Kitna, or Ryan Fitzpatrick, because he was a journeyman that played for the Bengals as well. Let's say it's John Kitna. I would take a quarterback. The Bengals took Carson Palmer, and
Carson Palmer versus Carson Wentz.
You realize that's who 2 you're different levels right there.
It is.
Palmer played at USC. Wentz played at D1 AA.
Okay, I was still though. If you need a quarterback, it's a quarterback-driven league. Who are we going to get? We're going to play a journeyman. We're going to go 7 and 8. I mean,
Connor Cook all day. If you give me that option,
I don't think so.
Connor Cook plays in the most. He plays in the most competitive division or most competitive conference in the country.
I agree, but the thing
is the most competitive conference in the country. He's proved himself in that conference.
I'm a Big Ten guy. I'm a Big Ten guy, so trust me, I know. The thing that Connor Cook messed up with is he didn't go to the Senior Bowl, and he didn't play in it. And people were like, why wouldn't you go and play in it? Because you could shut up every one of your critics right now and shut this Carson Wentz stuff up right now if you go there and perform better than him. But he didn't.
He was battling injuries at the end of the season, though.
True.
He's a little bit banged up.
Well, Wentz went, and he dominated. So, I don't know. We'll see. Football players, I mean, it's hard to judge guys from pro days and NFL Combine. Seth, you as a former football player know you only can tell when it's game footage, when you can see the plays they're making, how they adjust to the game. Personally, I've said it on this show, I would take Joey Bosa with the number 2 pick. I would build your guys' defense. Defense wins championships. The Broncos proved that. You don't really need a good quarterback. Peyton Manning, great legendary quarterback. Seth, I know you hate him, but he's a legendary Hall of Fame quarterback. But what he had, like 150 yards passing in the Super Bowl. Defense won that game completely. If you guys can bulk up that defense a little bit, I would take Joey Bosa with the 2 pick. But that's just me. But not much else going on up in Brownsland, is there?
Not at all.
Yeah,
nothing matters until we find out the final decision on Osweiler.
That's true. That's true. And it's kind of a slow period in the NFL, which sucks because the NFL is awesome. I mean, it just sucks, man, with this slow period. But hopefully, I'm super excited for free agency. I'm super excited for the draft. Hopefully, both of our teams can better themselves. So. We'll talk about more Browns football whenever we get some news on it. But staying in Cleveland, let's talk a little Cleveland Cavaliers basketball. Now, we talked about the Cavs last week. Really not much going on with the Cavs. Still the best in the East, but I'm pretty sure if we added a 5th guy to this crew, we could be second best in the East behind the Cavs. They did beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in OKC the other night, 115-92. Now, like Seth said, earlier in the show, they had an issue with bed bugs at the Hilton Hotel. Kyrie Irving said he woke up in the middle of the night and there was like 5 bed bugs on his pillow. He slept on like a couch or in a chair or something the whole night. He didn't play that long.
8 minutes.
Yeah, insanely bizarre story. Ian, do you have any thoughts on this, sir?
I just don't know why you would trust a hotel couch.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know why they were in a Hilton. Like, all the reports I've heard of that, other teams talking about it, they're like, it's a shithole. It's pretty terrible. Like, why wouldn't they be in a 5-star hotel? They're NBA players. Pretty weird. Just Seth, I mean, I know you talked a little bit about it earlier. You went to a Cavs game the other day, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to my first NBA game last Thursday. It was a great time. First time I ever been in the queue. Had a blast. Can't wait to go back.
So what are your thoughts on the bedbug story?
It's something that I'm sure has happened before, but only playing 8 minutes and blaming it on sleeping on the couch the night before is not an excuse in my book.
Yeah, it's a pretty weird story, especially against a team like Oklahoma City, who everyone's saying they're going to give Golden State a run for their money, which they're not in the West. But yeah, it's just such a weird story. Zach, do you have any thoughts on this?
I heard that Oklahoma City's owner bought every hotel room in the whole city. That way, they had to stay there in that Hilton, and that's why they got bed bugs. It's a big cover-up scheme in Oklahoma City. They're trying to screw the Cavs.
That's
a hell of a conspiracy.
That's so insane. But that would be hilarious though if that is true, because that is the most spiteful shit I've ever heard. To buy every hotel room to where, but it should have been like a Hilton, like it's got to be like Best Western or something,
right?
So we're not going to get a sponsorship from Best Western now, which kind of sucks. But
Motel 6.
Yeah, like
they'll leave the light on for you.
Red Roof Inn. It's got to be like someone like that. Like make them stay in their bus or their cars or something. That's hilarious if that is true. I didn't hear that. Did you hear that, Ian?
I did not. That kind of reminds me of the story of who was it? The football team that turned on the fire alarm in the other team's hotel.
Yeah,
they tried to create that a scam.
Yeah, that's an old school one. We actually did that in high school to a team, which is pretty funny. But yeah, not much going on with the Cavs either. The East is a joke. I mean, it's so absolutely terrible. They're going to run away with the East. Like we said last week, we can talk a little bit about it now. Do you think the Cavs have what it takes to beat the Golden State Warriors or the Spurs, for that matter, in a 7-game series? I mean, E, what do you think?
Warriors, no. Warriors, not at all. Unless they're just devastated by injury, which I don't know. They'll figure out a way to win. 7-game series with the Spurs. It's tough to beat the Spurs in 7 games. I think it would go longer than what a 7-game series would last with Golden State, but I don't think unless Oklahoma City or another team just comes out of nowhere and wins the West, the Cavs aren't winning the championship this year.
They needed to make a move before the trade deadline. I don't know why they didn't try to make a move for someone. They're getting to the point. LeBron can opt out after this year. He's not going to, but he can. Rumors Kevin Love may be traded, which is crazy after signing him to a long-term deal. But Kevin Love probably wants to go back to California. He wants to be in L.A., somewhere like that, where he's from. I don't know why the Cavs didn't go all in on an outside shooter like Kyle Korver from Atlanta. Atlanta even made it clear to everyone that they're kind of in rebuilding mode right now. They kind of missed the boat on this team. I don't know why the Cavs did not go out for an outside shooter. Like we said last week, J.R. Smith is too unpredictable for that team. LeBron can go off any night, but he needs help. In a 7-game series, Golden State's going to hit you from every angle. When they play Draymond Green at the 5 position, they're too hard to beat. He's a triple-double machine right now. Steph's unstoppable. And speaking of Steph Curry, I have all the respect in the world for this guy. I love him. I think he's amazing for the league. But did you see him hit that 3 and then shimmy in front of the bench? Who was that against? Was that the Heat?
I can't remember who it was against.
I think it was.
Okay, I think it was the Heat. I may be wrong on that. Okay, this is the difference with the NBA in today's world compared to in the 80s. That would have all-out brawl. If someone did that to the Celtics, if Magic
Pistons, the bad boys,
exactly. If Larry Bird would have hit a 3 and did that in front of the Pistons or the Lakers, the benches would have cleared. There is no way on earth. If I'm playing, I have all this respect in the world for Steph Curry. But when you're between the lines, it's a different game. Whether it's football, baseball, basketball, whatever it is, if someone disrespects you like that on the court, field, wherever you're at, that's completely uncalled for, man. I'm pushing Steph Curry. Get out of my face, bro, if he does that. That's just me. I don't know. Seth, you played football. I mean, some guy, he could be your best friend, but if he goes up to you disrespecting you like that, it's a different story. I mean, right?
I mean, yeah, you have fights in practice and things like that. That's about the only fight I ever got in on the field, was just a little extracurricular after a practice play. But Yeah, I mean, you have buddies, you respect them and everything, but if they get in your face, they do something you don't necessarily like, yeah, you go a little bit harder on them.
Yeah, I mean that's it's so uncalled for. I'm pushing Steph Curry. I love the guy, but if that he does that in front of my bench, I'm letting him hear about it because he probably would have drained 5 threes in my face after that. But I mean that's it's completely uncalled for. I miss the '80s, the years of the '80s NBA teams where brawls happen, benches cleared, guys are playing their asses off. And speaking of the NBA, one thing that we missed, the All-Star game was terrible. It was so bad. Slam dunk contest was great. 3-point contest was great. Skills challenge was awesome. All that stuff was great. The All-Star game is so boring. They need to revamp all these All-Star games. I hate the no defense. I mean, back in the day, they actually had something to play for it. Do you guys like any of the All-Star games at all? I know we're kind of going off topic here, but Ian, do you like any of the All-Star games at all?
I like Major League Baseballs. I don't like how they set up the rules where every team has to have a representative, especially if you're going to depend or make it dependent on who gets home field advantage for the World Series. You obviously don't want a couple Reds guys playing on the National League team if you're the Nationals or the Cardinals or the Giants. But I hate the Pro Bowl. I like All-Star Weekend for the NBA. I like, like you said, I like the skills competition, the dunk contest, and three-point. But I hate the actual game. I'm not much of a hockey guy, so I don't watch that. I know you said it was so-so, but I don't know. Does WNBA have an All-Star game? I guess I could try that, but I don't think I'm gonna have much difference in that.
Yeah, I don't know much about that at all. They may. I'm sure they do. I mean, it's kind of a I don't know. I don't know if they do. Seth, I mean, do you have any opinion on the All-Star games? Did you watch the NBA All-Star game at all?
No, I was actually working whenever the NBA All-Star game was on, but I would agree with Ian. I'm all right with the MLB. I don't necessarily, care for every team having to have a representative. As much as we love our Reds, they only have maybe one guy, two guys if you count Phillips if he stays around for a while. But other than that, I like the skills challenge more than I actually like the game.
Yeah. What about you, Zach? What do you think?
Talking about every team having a representative in the MLB, that's actually the Reds' fault. Back in the day, they used to stuff the ballots, and there was like 7 starters that were Reds. And MLB came in and changed all the rules to it so they wouldn't have just all Reds on the All-Star game team. But yeah, theirs is the only one worth watching. Pro Bowl, it's useless. Nobody wants to really play in it. They just out there just to talk to their buddies and stuff like that. And the NBA is just a shoot fest and see who can put down the biggest dunk or throw the biggest oop. That's about all it is. It's hard to decide what you want, how to make it more competitive though, because you don't want to necessarily do MLBs where they get home field advantage or something like that. But it's hard to do. It's hard to think of something that would be better.
I'm on the other side of the fence. I hate Major League Baseball's All-Star Game. I hate that you have to have a representative from every team. I hate that it affects the World Series. It's so stupid because you get to a team like, let's say, the Nationals make a run and they're dominating all year. They're the best team in baseball. Well, the National League loses the All-Star Game, and now you got Kansas City with home field advantage. It's stupid. I don't like that a meaningless game changes the outcome or possibly could change the outcome of a championship. I hate that. As for the Pro Bowl, I've said it over and over. They need to make it like rock and jock football or whatever it was, where you got it's on a beach and you got like Lil Wayne trying to tackle J.J. Watt or something. Like that's what I want. I think that would be so fun. Skills challenge. I want to see quarterbacks hitting balloons out of the air and shit with the football. Like that's what I want. I want trick shots. That would be great. NBA is perfect. 3-point shootout's fun. Dunk contest was great. Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon completely revitalized it. They were fantastic. Skills challenge with Karl Anthony Towns, my boy. That was great. The All-Star game itself is terrible. No defense. They need to get that together. It's just not fun to watch. And then NHL was actually fantastic this year, man. They knew they were in the same boat as all the other ones, and they completely revamped it. They did 3-on-3 hockey, which was fun. They did a tournament where they took each division and they took the best all-stars from each division, and they did a tournament, and then the winning team won $1 million that they donated to charity. It was fun. It was exciting. It was cool, man. So I don't know. NBA needs to work on the All-Star game, but yeah, kind of ran off away from the Cavs a little bit there. But Cavs, can they beat the? We'll come back to it. Can they beat the Golden State Warriors in best of 7? I don't think so. Ian, I don't think you think so, and I don't think you other guys think so either. Hopefully they can. You do?
I think they have a shot. I think LeBron always shows up in the playoffs.
Really?
As
When?
much as he gets a bad rap for his clutch ability, I think he shows up. He played his heart out last year against the Warriors and took it to what, 6 games?
Yeah. See, LeBron though,
And he
needs help.
didn't have any of his backup. He didn't have Kyrie. He didn't have K-Love. I think so far, if the Warriors keep playing like they have been, I don't think that's a sustainable thing for them. I don't think they can keep playing as hot as they have. I don't think that he can keep having triple doubles every night. I think eventually the Cavs. I think if they're healthy going into the playoffs, I think the Cavs can compete with them in 7 games.
Well, that answers a question from Mr. Aaron Parrish. He wants to know, with the big three, with the new addition of Channing Frye that they made from Orlando and other company, all healthy, do you think the Cavs have what it takes under Tyronn Lue to take out the Warriors in the playoffs? I personally say no, Aaron. Seth believes that they possibly can. Ian, I think he says no. And Zach, what do you think?
Despite not knowing who Channing Frye was before this show, I think that the Cavs can compete. They, like Seth said, they took 6 games last year. Now, if they're going to shoot the Warriors are going to shoot the lights out like they have all year long. There's nobody that can beat them. But that weight of the trying to beat Jordan and the Bulls record, and then they got to go win a championship after that, that may surmount on them.
No. Dude, the Warriors have not lost a game at home this year. They have not lost a single game at home. That means the Cavs have to go to the Oracle in Oakland, Golden State, and they have to win 2 games on the road. It is not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Jared, you summed it up. You summed it up when you said when Draymond Green plays the 5, they're unbeatable.
They're unbeatable.
And they showed this against the Cavs when they blew out the Cavs at home before David Blatt got fired.
David Blatt got fired. Tyronn Lue is letting them run the court a little bit more. I like it. I think it's a good way for them to beat the Warriors.
I think Tyronn Lue is a good fit at coach. I'm not arguing that. I think he's a good fit, and the reason he's a good fit is because he doesn't step on LeBron's toes, and he lets LeBron do what he wants. And like I said last week or 2 weeks ago,
best player in the world.
Yeah, he's probably still the best player in the league, just because he does everything. He can go off any night. You cannot stop LeBron. If he tucks the ball and goes to the lane, you cannot stop him. He can score at any time he wants. But Steph Curry's the same way. Steph Curry can score at any time. He can shake you anytime he wants, and he can probably hit a shot in your face anytime he wants.
Yeah.
I don't believe the Cavs have the depth to beat Golden State. I don't believe that they have the shooters to beat them. They will have to D up on them so much, and Golden State hits you from every angle, man. You got Steph, you got Clay, you got Draymond, and they added Anderson Varejao, which is not that big of a move, but it is kind of. It gives them big man depth if they want Draymond or somebody to come out and get rest. So I don't know, Aaron. That's a great question. But that is pretty much the show. Now, for those of you who don't watch, we typically end with a bold prediction for this upcoming week of sports. Ian, sir, what is your bold prediction for this upcoming week?
The Reds will try and trade Jay Bruce once again this week, and it'll fall through once again. And for the 6th time this offseason, the Reds will make public a failed deal.
That's crazy. I can't remember the last time that many failed deals happened, and it was public. Zach, what about you, man? What's your bold prediction for this upcoming week?
My bold prediction is that Kyle Schwarber puts a fan in the hospital with one of his home runs. He already busted out windshield this past week, got it fixed for the guy, but I think he's going to put a fan in the hospital soon with his bomb.
I hope not. Jeez. Seth, what about you, man? What's your bold prediction for this upcoming week?
I'm going back to basketball and back to the Warriors. I think they lose to OKC this coming Saturday in Oklahoma.
Yeah, that would be big. My bold prediction, for those of you who know, I'm a soccer guy, huge soccer fan. My Manchester City Blues recently announced that Pep Guardiola will be the new manager of the team. My personal favorite player in the world, Paul Pogba, who plays for Juventus, has came out and said that he would love to play for Guardiola. Ian, I know I text you all the time. I think Pogba will announce that he wants to go play for Guardiola at City. I believe City wants him. He's their number one target. They have all the money in the world to make it happen. I need this to happen. If Paul Pogba signs with Manchester City, Google Paul Pogba and look at his crazy hairstyles. I swear to God, I will come on this show with a Paul Pogba crazy hairstyle. It will happen. But that's my bold prediction. I hope that he comes out. I believe that he'll come out and say that he wants to play for Manchester City. But that is our show, episode 19 of the Ohio Sports Radio Show. You guys were great. Thank you, Seth. Welcome to the team. Thank you for being on the show. Everyone. Awesome, man. Everyone, thank you for watching. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Like our YouTube channel. We got all of our past episodes on there. Follow us on Twitter at Ohio Sports Radio. Like us on Facebook, like our Facebook page, Ohio Sports Radio. Comment, interact with us, guys. Go to our website, ohsportsradio.com. Updating it with new stuff. Zach had a good Red Spring training blog. Ian's got some great blogs in the works. Seth has been pumping out some great stuff. We got some new stuff coming tomorrow. Please check out our website, OH Sports Radio. Without you guys, we couldn't do this. Ian, do you have any further comments, man?
I don't. Let's hope for a good week for Ohio sports.
Absolutely. Seth, first show, how was it?
It was good. It was good. I hope my bold prediction comes true. I hope Steph Curry gets the bed bugs as well.
Did you have fun? That's all that matters.
You know I did.
All right, good. Do you have anything to add?
Nah, that's it. That's all. My final comment was Steph Curry getting bed bugs.
That was a good final comment, though. What about you, Zach? Do you have anything to add, brother?
I just hope the Reds have a healthy spring training. I hope they get some of their guys back from injury. Mesoraco, Homer Bailey. I hope they continue to rehab and do well. It's going to be interesting to see what the opening day roster is going to look like.
Yeah, I can't wait to buy opening day tickets for like $2 because they're going to be that bad. But no, the Reds will show out for opening day. We always do. But like I said, check out our website, ohsportsradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Ohio Sports Radio. Like our Ohio Sports Radio Facebook page. Like this video on YouTube if you enjoy watching the Ohio Sports Radio Show. And we will see you all next week with episode 20 episodes of the Ohio Sports Radio Show. And Ian, Seth, Zach, Who Day.
We bark together.
See you guys next week.